going to be excited and delighted to be joined by the legendary one, Mark Rosen, Channel 4 Sports. Sports is your whole life just sports. Well, you missed it earlier, the big brawl between Abbott and I. We brawled.
No, I was just in Abbott's office talking to him for a little while.
Yeah, we had a disagreement on programming.
Okay.
And he's a program director, very good at what he does. Yeah. And he does very good at what he does. Oh. Matter of fact, he's got a trophy that if you question him ever on his programming, he'll grab it from the mantle and he'll set it on his desk and go, "You were saying," because he won some iHeart award for being the best, sports radio station program director in the company. We're happy for him.
Yeah.
Right. But I've programmed a lot of radio stations, Mark Rosen.
At least 5.
Okay, well, it's actually 3.
Oh.
But 5 sounds like more than 4. And again, they weren't major market radio stations, but they were still
sometimes it's harder.
That's exactly right. Thanks for sticking up for me.
Yeah. So what was the gist of the argument?
It's not worth getting into on the air. Well, I don't want to hurt any feelings or make anybody angry. But basically, what I took from the conversation is it's just the wild, wild west at the radio station now. You just do whatever you want.
Really?
Well, that's what I'm going to do.
Wow.
Start doing whatever I want.
Well,
Your mama can't stop me. Your daddy can't stop me. The police can't stop me. Well, the program director could stop me. Could just say, "You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired." And that could be it.
Were other people witnessing this, or was it loud enough that?
Well, Lil B heard the whole thing.
Well, Lil B was right next. She's right next door.
I think she rather enjoyed it, but maybe she didn't. Maybe made her uncomfortable. But it's all good.
That's good.
I do it mostly just for the bitch.
Well, no, not you.
Deep down, the disagreement we had, I don't really even care. I just don't.
Man, I would.
You didn't have to come. There's the trophy. Look at that. Look at that.
Suck on that.
Chad Abbott, iHeartRadio News Talk Program Director of the Year.
How about that?
Well, that was quite some time ago. 2017. Yeah. That was the same year.
What have you done for us lately?
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
I thought good was the enemy of the great. Why haven't you been great at since then?
Yeah, why haven't you been great? Look, he's turned on you too.
Good is the enemy of great.
He's ripping me?
Yeah, he's ripping you. And I stuck up for you early on. And then I saw how much fun he had it. I started ripping you too. And Rosen was chiming in.
What are you laughing at?
Yeah.
I just think it's funny. Someone else is on getting his wrath.
Rip. That's all we do. What do we do around here?
We rip them.
Yes, that's exactly what we do.
I don't know how many times this has happened to you, but just speaking of that, getting into a, audible kind of disagreement.
Yes.
I was on my way to record my podcast yesterday. Thanks for asking. And
was that the one I heard about? It's a buzz. Is it Robert Smith and Bursich?
Last week I did that. That was fun. Yeah, and it did get a lot of play.
It's got a buzz.
It did get a buzz. Yeah, those guys were great, and they have their own podcast together right now. And I think they wanted to kind of run some stuff past me, but that's not the point.
Bursich and Robert Smith have a podcast together.
Yeah, they started. I can't honestly. I wish I could remember the name.
Now you know what I was going to say. That just seems like a. They both went to Notre Dame. No, they both went to Ohio State.
Ohio State and Notre Dame.
No, they went to Ohio State and
because
Notre Dame.
Because Bursich was talking about going to Lou Holtz's visitation after he passed.
Did you go?
No. I mean, I knew, obviously, Lou when he coached here and had some interesting exchanges with him. But the point of the matter is, this was the point I was trying to get to, is that I usually stop at the Starbucks, it's the exit before Sheriff Productions. So I get off there and
I know right where it is because I've been to Sheriff Productions before. I was on your podcast.
You were on my podcast. So I stopped there.
I heard the numbers were lowest for that of all your podcasts.
No, that's not true at all.
People are just done with me.
No. I don't know if this is happening, and it's a very small place. It's most people saying, get in, get out. They got stuff to go. They have a separate line. They're very well oiled machine. Congratulations to everybody out there because they do a great job of getting people in and out of there. They have a board up there with your name on it. Anyway, the point of the matter is I was sitting down because I was writing some more notes down. I was interviewing Johnny Athletics. So I just wanted to have a kind of go over a couple things I wanted to talk with him about. So I was jotting down notes. So I sat at a little table. And next to me were these two women. And again, this is not a big restaurant or a big place. They were going at it. I mean, audibly, really loud.
Tooth and nail?
Well,
nip and tuck?
And I'm literally sitting right behind him, and I'm going, I'm trying not to listen because I don't really care, but it's hard not to be kind of get sucked into the what is going on.
Did you take sides?
No, I did not.
Did you intervene?
No. And I looked up a couple times, and the facial expressions kind of told the story. But the point of the matter is, I think they were unaware of
their surroundings.
Yeah, of how many people were, probably coming and going, but there were at least a dozen people that were around, and they were not bashful about raising their voices in a public place like that. And I just kind of I'm saying to myself, guys, take it outside. Whatever your disagreement is, that's none of my business. But it's just unusual when something like that happens in a very public place. But it happens. But it's very uncomfortable to be kind of exposed to all of that. But that's the world we live in.
I kind of like it.
Well, So
let me ask you another question.
Yes, sir.
You were last here on Thursday. Since then, a number of things have happened, including you attended out at the new Winter Park TCO Performance Center, the retirement party, the Bon Voyage, whatever you call it, for C.J. Ham and Adam Thielen.
Yes.
How was it?
It was great. And in fact, Abbott was gone last week. He suggested I should have maybe done my segment with you out there, and maybe I could have got one of those guys.
That's what you should have done.
And I didn't.
You're not a program director.
I'm not a program director. That being a former one, maybe you should have suggested
I probably should have thought of that. I didn't even know you were going into
Well, I know you didn't. And then
I wasn't invited.
The media portion started at 3:00, and they had. I got out there obviously, like 3:20, 3:25, and it was. And I saw some of the other highlights of it. But CJ and Adam it was in the auditorium there at TCO, and. It's a very unusual story, to say the least, that both of them end up, they both went to high school here, the colleges here, and then they end up playing in the same NFL team for many years, before Adam obviously went his way for a while. But it's an astonishing story. They signed their one-day contracts. Both players had their families there, and I had a chance to talk with them afterwards up in they had a little reception up in the big cafeteria up there at TCO. So I talked to both CJ and Adam for a while, and it was great. I mean, it was well done. The Vikings did a great job with it.
They always do.
Yeah, and it meant a lot to them personally to have that kind of. Look at a guy like CJ Ham in particular, who just kind of his workmanlike approach, and Thielen, and he was kidding Thielen about it wasn't about playing golf. It must have been something else. It must have been another. Playing at night, because CJ's goes, man, I'm not getting up at 6:00 in the morning to do this anymore. I can sleep in now. So I'm not sure what their plans are. I don't think they are at the moment. As far as you think about the shelf life of an NFL player, and both of them had long careers, but they're both 30 something, right? I mean, that's as an adult, that's kind of when you're just almost like starting your career. And so now they have those choices like, well, what am I going to do? I mean, look at Thielen, and he seems to be more of a natural as far as if he wanted to get into some sort of media stuff. I think he certainly could, whether it's, color, maybe doing like a Lieber type thing. I don't know. I don't think he does at the moment. CJ's got other plans, and his foundation, everything he's got going on. And Thielen, in fact, he had representatives of the Thielen Foundation there, and I had a chance through Karin to talk to a number of them, and that's going to continue on. He's done a lot of really good stuff with that. So, yeah, it was well done. It was, and I'm sure that they'll probably have some sort of recognition, I assume, during whether it could be a preseason game or a regular season game for the two of them since Thielen was not here, obviously, last year, to recognize both of them. So
now, you know what I read into it?
What's that?
No Hitman Harris.
Well, it's not a bad perspective.
Hitman's going to play.
Well, he was that conversation, that aspect came up not with those guys, but I think Thielen was asked about it. In fact, he played in a flag football game this past weekend, and I saw Rob Brzezinski, and I did talk with him briefly. I didn't ask him about that because I knew what his answer would have been. He would have shrugged his shoulders and go, "Well, we're not." The door's not closed.
He may have said, "Can you keep a secet?"
No, Rob's not that way.
No, he's not.
No, I mean, as much as I love Rob Brzezinski as a person,
I could pry it out of him.
But your take is not far off. I think
because wouldn't he have been there for that? When I brought it out, other people texted and said, "No, Hitman's a step above both those guys and what he meant to the organization." Right. And he's as far as being involved with something. No, that. he's going to be given his own day like that. It's not like he's not. But I don't. Is he that much more? I mean, Thielen was pretty important to this organization as well.
Well, I think the difference is that both had acknowledged that this was our last years. I mean, I think both for Adam and CJ, when he said his goodbyes. But we saw that last home game and how emotional Harrison Smith was with his teammates, the fans, and it sure seemed like this was it. His hugs with KOC and everything else, but. Yeah, and I think the one thing that he's feeling, I think physically he's feeling really good. I mean, he started behind the 8 ball because he was dealing with some health issues at the beginning of training camp and the beginning of the season, so that set him back quite a bit last year. The Vikings would welcome him back with open arms, that is for damn sure. As we know, they're looking for a safety, and they still will draft one, I'd hope, but doesn't preclude the hitman from coming back for one more run.
We'll break. We'll come back. A number of other items to get to with Mark Rosen, the legendary one. Tend to be in common here as well. Common Man program on the Fan. That sort of sounded like you were diving into a little aha. Or is it aha? Either way, it's the Common Man program along with Tenneby and the legendary Mark Rosen. March Madness continues, and if you were looking for one shining moment at the barn on Sunday, they actually had more than that. They had several. I call them the three-headed monster. Hart, Braun, and Battle were all really good in that game. Each one of them had a key moment in that last couple of minutes of the ball game. Obviously, Battle with the game winner at the buzzer. Of course, they had to put on a couple more ticks, but I was watching whatever men's game was on at the time, and then I said, oh, that's right, the gals are playing. I checked the score. They're behind by like 6 or 8 in the second half. So I said, well, let's go see what's going on, what the hell's happening here. And that was high drama. It was fun to watch, and then they steal the game, and a game that looked like they were donezo. It really did. And then they just kept chipping away and come up with the big plays with the Braun makes the shot, Hart makes the shot. And then Battle gets the bucket.
And they still survive a last second 3-point attempt that bounced off the front of the rim.
And so, but it is the old way be done for me lately. Now they got to go play UCLA, which I think is the top seed, right? Yeah. Are they the number one team in the country?
I think they are now. I saw that game when they played here. Went to the game.
They lost by what, 20, 10?
Yeah, and it was not even that close. Yeah. And I think the Gophers are, I don't know, it doesn't matter, 18, 19-point underdogs.
Is it that much?
Yeah, Friday night. UCLA's a machine.
Yeah, they're good.
And so, the expectations have to be realistic. But again, back to that game against Ole Miss, and a big signature win, and Ole Miss was playing a very disciplined style. I think their best player was in foul trouble and went to the bench, and that certainly hurt them. But their defense was good enough; they were keeping the Gophers at bay. And I thought, it's going to be hard for Minnesota to generate enough offense to overcome, even if it's a 6-point lead or 4-point lead, whatever it is. The way the clock was kind of ticking down, but as you just recapped, the Gophers hit the clutch shots, and Battle made the big one. What a great story she is. And
all three of them are Minnesotans, right?
All three of them are Minnesotans, yes.
They're all ones of us.
Yeah, and so, listen, you don't go, oh, we don't have a chance. Yeah, of course they're massive underdogs, and, the cream of the crop in women's basketball are really separated. I mean, there's not sometimes a lot of competition when you get to those top 4 teams in the country. And I said UCLA played here earlier. And they are, they're deep, they're talented, they've got a lot of things going for them. But you know what? Listen, you roll up your sleeves, as they say, and the Gophers just go out there. They look at, no one gives us a chance, and force them to make some mistakes that they don't normally like to make, and maybe they'll hang around for most of the game. That's all you can ask for, and good for them. It's in Sacramento on Friday night.
On the other side, the men's side, there weren't as many. There weren't a lot of upset every other game. There were a handful of them, but none of the real where you had a 13 beat a 3 or anything. That would be 13 or 3, however it would be. We didn't see any of that, but there was some really good basketball games, and we did have a couple of 9s win. Did all the 9s advance? No, all the 9s beat 8s, but Iowa is a 9. They defeated Florida. They are now in the Sweet 16. They'll be taking on Deuce's school in Nebraska.
How about that?
Yeah, that's
2 football schools playing in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and it should be I think it said Nebraska was the only power conference team that had never won an NCAA tournament game going. They were 0-8.
Yeah.
They were the college basketball version of the Motor City Kitties. And then finally, not only did they win one game, but they won two. That was Deuce and I watched the Nebraska game start to finish against now I can't think of who they played, and so you're going to say, well, how did you watch it from start to finish?
It's easy to do with 600 games on.
It was against Vanderbilt. Oh,
okay.
And that game was as good as any game, a college basketball game I've seen of recent vintage, where Nebraska had, if I remember correctly, they had the lead for most of the game. Then Vanderbilt took the lead late in the second half. Then Frager hits a layup for Nebraska with 2.2 left. The Tyler Tanner kid, who looks like he's about 13 years old, and he's got that baby face. He's 6 foot, and he's probably 160 pounds soaking wet, right? He throws up a half-court shot. Frager said afterwards, you could see his reaction.
Oh, my God.
He thought the ball went in because it was that close. It hit the rim, the backboard, then it hit the rim. You know how it does that? Rattled around the rim and spit out. It was that close. You know, I know they were saying it would have been it was the greatest half-court shot never made. And I guess you could categorize it as that because he just let it up, and it looked like it was going down, but it was just high drama from the beginning of the game to the very end.
And you could tell, Common, by the reaction of the Nebraska players as that ball was going in and out. They thought it was going in.
Yeah, that's what I say. Frager thought it was in.
It was like they're all going looking at each other like, "Oh, damn it, we just lost."
Frager thought the ball had went in, and it obviously didn't. But that was
good stuff.
That was a lot of fun. Then there was Iowa against Florida. And that was a major upset. Florida coming in, defending NCAA champs, heavy favorites, I think, 1 versus a 9. And again, that game went down to the wire, and the Fulgaris guy hits the winning bucket, and they upset Florida. St. John's against Kansas was another really good game. That was
classic coaches, with Pitino and Self.
And the Dylan Darling kid scores at the buzzer. And I've talked about this a couple yesterday and today. I talked about with Tennessee, where they talked to Pitino after the game, and he talked about how he goes. So the kid draws up this play, and he hasn't scored all the night, and he still wants to take the shot, and he gets to the bucket, and he uses his right hand, and he's left-handed. He goes, he just loves the kid. And he said, his nickname is Bells. And they asked him why. He said, well, because he's got as big as church bells.
Got it.
He said, okay, I got it. And so the kid's obviously not afraid of any moment. Before Pitino had a chance to say all this, how right after the game they grabbed the kid?
Right.
They grabbed him, and he said, well, what did the coach tell you? What did Pitino tell you during the time? He goes, well, he just yelled at me like he always does.
That's what he does.
That's what he does, and they win the game. And then you had to feel bad for Santa Clara. Santa Clara's playing Kentucky. Now, this isn't your daddy's Kentucky.
No.
This isn't
dominant Carl Anthony Town.
Alfred Rupp? No. What was Rupp? Adolph Rupp. Yeah. This ain't Adolph Rupp. This isn't even Calipari. This isn't even Pitino coached Kentucky for a while, too, didn't he?
Anybody coached Kentucky.
They're different.
Tubby Smith coached Kentucky.
Right. They were a 7 seed, so they weren't like, normally they seem to either always be a 1 seed or a 2. Santa Clara kid hits the bucket, 3-pointer with 2.5 seconds to go, whatever it was, 2.2. So Kentucky inbounds the ball. The kid for Kentucky takes a step or two across the center court line, heaves it up, hits the backboard. I think I tried to lip read. I think he called glass. But anyways, it bounced off, goes in, and they go to overtime.
Right.
But the Santa Clara coach, and his name escapes me, I have it in a story here. I could dig it up for you. I guess it's not that important. He was calling a timeout. And
they wouldn't give it to him.
Well, they didn't hear it.
Yeah.
They were going to give it. They would have to give it to him because on a dead ball, you can call a timeout. And they didn't allow him to call a timeout because the official that was closest to him turned his back to him and started sprinting down in the other end of the floor, which is understandable.
Yeah.
But that's not, he's supposed to pay attention. And with the coach's comments after the game, and again, I didn't see it, I just read it. So I don't know if there was anger in his voice, if he was very animated. But when he talked about, I think maybe
not getting the timeout.
Yeah, maybe I already
I don't think he
deleted the story. But what he said was, he said, run it back. You can see I'm calling the timeout. He goes,
I saw that part.
He goes,
that
like
interview.
you would expect any coach to do, because I want to set up a different defense. Plus, we can foul them, get them to the line, and they can't win the game. And, who knows what would have happened, but it's obvious. If he's allowed to call his timeout, I
someone
think
has to pay attention.
There's a 95% chance of Santa Clara winning that game. Yeah. And he kind of felt bad because, Kentucky's had their moments, not this Kentucky team specifically, but just the university has had so much success over the years. Santa Clara, I can guarantee you they've never won an NCAA championship, and I'm not even saying they would win this year, but that was a big moment for that school, and they got jobbed. There's no question.
That's too bad that, with all the refs out there, the noise level and everything else, they weren't paying attention. Yeah. It's all it's simple as that. But it does set up some terrific matchups, I think, as we get closer. It is, we kind of joke about it, two football schools with Iowa playing Nebraska. And, I got to admit, I'm partial I'm a big Freddie Hoiberg fan, personally and professionally.
But your wife...
Well, my wife went to Iowa Law School.
Right?
Iowa Law School.
Okay.
Correct. But she's much more, because she was in the other room, and I hadn't stopped the...
You're going to have to watch the game in separate rooms, because you're going to be rooting for Nebraska and Hoiberg, and she's going to be rooting for Iowa.
But I backed up the tape. I called her and said, honey, come in here. You got to see this, how Iowa won the game. So she was pretty excited. But honestly, she's more locked into the Iowa women's basketball, going back to Caitlin Clark, of course. It's not like she doesn't want Iowa to win. But I'm definitely in Nebraska. Till Deuce, I'm definitely in his corner for...
you turn your back on your wife's alma mater.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, correct. I'm more of a Fred Hoiberg fan than I am the Iowa men's basketball fan. I want him to succeed no matter what he does. He's just one of my favorite people I've ever had a chance to be around.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be upset if Iowa won.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be in the doghouse. No. We understand where she understands.
Where the bread's buttered. We'll take a break. Exactly. We'll come back. One more segment to go. It's Com and Teneby and Mark Rosen here on The Fan. Couple 13-14 past. I'm Common. Teneby, Mark Rosen here until 3. Big ticket. I think JG, I don't know. He's here.
He's here.
He is.
I talked to him briefly.
Oftentimes it seems like it's almost every other day.
On his way to Sacramento later in the week. Sure.
Text message came into the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Says, the retirement ceremony for Ham and Thielen was an invite-only who's who kind of event. So if Common would have planned to broadcast at TCO Fort, Rosen would have been inside near the action. Common antenna would have been on the roof of a Dairy Queen 2 miles down the road on 494, and that's exactly where we would have been.
We could have arranged that.
Here's another one. Why'd the Vikings honor a guy who finished his career as a Steeler? Fair question. He was the one. He didn't want.
Come on.
He wanted to be released from the Vikings. I don't want to be here anymore. It's a terrible team.
He wanted to play somewhere. I'm not defending everything that happened. That's the life of an NFL player.
He could have still played with the Vikings.
Not as much. It's not as if he got significant run with the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers was targeting him every other play. But I think you got to look at his body of work and understand. We all understand that there are players who leave and go to greener pastures, so to speak, and they still want to come back and retire
all right, I'll give him that.
As a Viking, as a Timberwolf.
We'll let it go.
Wild, whatever. They fill in the blank.
As quickly as the coaches were let go, as quickly as they were replaced. Gopher women's hockey coach fired, Brad Frost, Dunzo. They hired Boom. What's Boom's last name again, Teneby?
It's May.
Boom May, as his nickname. He gets it. And then the guy from St. Cloud.
The St. Cloud pipeline continues.
Yeah, he gets the job for the men.
Yeah.
So they fill those positions pretty quick.
They do. I'm sure Coyle had other interviews in mind. I thought maybe only because I'm partial to Grant Patolny. I was hopeful that he might get the job, but I don't know anything about this guy from St. Cloud. I look at his resume, and he's got some great moments, some not so great moments.
Highly decorated.
Yeah, I mean it's all about the coach can do what he can do, but right now the role of head coach, as much as anything, and is getting commitments from existing players, and then the recruiting part of it. And I don't know how much nil money the Gopher hockey men's team gets, but that's being a salesman is as much as part of the job description as it is the X's and O's about how to draw up your power play. So. And maybe for the Gophers, and we go back to obviously when Herbie was here, but the idea that we're going to only recruit Minnesota kids, that's just the way it's going to be. And Brad Butel, all the guys that followed up over the years, and for the most part, and Tanner, maybe you can weigh in on this. Does the Gopher roster consist of what's the percentage of Minnesota-born players on that team?
Oh boy.
Is it pretty high? I mean, it's got to be still high as
There's
high.
always a decent amount, but
I don't know if it's
this isn't the Doug Woog days.
But what I'm saying is, do they need to go like some of these other teams have done and gone through the junior ranks to try to recruit players out of junior colleges and or whatever in Canada? I mean, once you put the maroon and gold sweater on, as they say, nobody cares where you're from, where you played the previous year. You're playing for the Gophers. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't know what the new coach's thoughts about that are, but I do think that there's a part of that the rich tradition of having Minnesota only players. I don't think it's gone by the wayside, but I think you have to expand your horizons a little bit.
I'm about to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
And I want you to listen to this too, Chenaby. Right now, each university is allowed, $20.5 million to spend any which way they like. And most Division I programs, 75% of it goes to football, or 75 to 80% combined go to football and men's basketball. Is it really going to make that much of a difference, that money, for the Minnesota Golden Gopher football team? How much of a difference would it make for the hockey team? So in other words, hockey team, there's fewer players. I mean, a football team's got 100 players, right? How many does a hockey? Do we know how much a college hockey team keeps?
20, I don't know.
Is it 20 like a regular team? Is it 20?
I'm sure they have a couple extra guys that aren't in the press box. Right. I don't know the exact number, but
yeah. Basketball,
it's 20 and 25.
It's all about basketball. Basketball, you only have 15 guys in the roster. Instead of taking all that money, you're wasting it on the football program. The Gophers, they're never going to be like Ohio. It's true.
Or
they're
Indiana.
Not going to be OSU. They're not going to be Indiana. They're not going to be Michigan. They're never going to get there. I'm sorry. Why would they have? They haven't done it in 100 years. Why would they start now?
Well, you can say that about Indiana too. They never did it in 100 years. I'm just saying. I'm playing devil's advocate, but you're right.
But the devil's advocate part is, I would say, okay, well, you've got one exception.
Yeah, I know.
Is lightning going to strike twice? I don't think so. So my point is, if you took that money and put it toward the men's basketball team, men's and women's hockey, took most of them went there, would that make enough of a difference there where you could look at the best junior hockey players and go, we're going to pay $1 million to play for the University of Minnesota. I'm in. You get 5 of those guys, $5 million. You got a first line plus a couple of great defensemen. You're going to natties. Same thing with basketball. If you've got 20.5 and you're giving it, now again, some of these guys, who was the player that said, is it a guy that's playing for, what the hell team is it? A Dookie, I think. Somebody said, well, they offered me up to $9 million at another school. Some other school offered him $9 million and he turned it down because he got more than that.
Right.
But I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm looking up. I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, my phone's so kind of wonky right now. But I saw the comment from the UCLA men's basketball coach, whose name escapes me. I was looking it up right now. And he's one of those meltdown guys. Yeah, he's definitely a meltdown guy on the sidelines, and he's exasperated all the time with his players, the refs, everyone around him. And his comment in post game when they got beat pretty badly was, "Oh, I could use another $5 million." That was his comment, adding fuel to your fire about
Mike Cronin is his name.
He's a hothead. But his comment was, I mean, it's interesting to hear coaches talk like that now. It's like, well, I got to do. UCLA, I mean, of all schools, UCLA's tradition going back to, obviously the wizard himself, John Wooden, speaks for itself, but he's still going at UCLA of all places. I could use another $5 million. I mean, that was his comment. I got to recruit against these teams, and I can't beat them right now with the budget we have without having the extra nil money. That's UCLA. But I understand your point. They go for, spread the wealth. That was the wealth. I mean, that was part of the situation with they paid Coy Parrish, a pretty good sum of money, right? And they kept him here, and everybody was thrilled that he stayed here, and then kind of fell off a little bit at the second year. Then now he's gone, and people kind of feel betrayed by that. Well, how can he do that? No, that's the way the game's played.
You're getting ripped.
For what?
Rosen only likes the Gophers because they're popular and flashy. He's all about image and not winning. He would never step foot on St. Thomas's campus because we aren't popular enough yet. He'll come crawling to the steps of the campus in a few years when we get the most successful and popular school in the state. It's not More Amsterdam guy. It's not Larry Mondello guy either.
Oh,
just
I have not had a chance to get over there. I have nothing but good things to say about. I mean, listen, their success speaks for itself. They get that new arena. They got a lot of good things going. I'm in a different phase of my life and my career. That's all. I don't get around it.
You just don't get around.
Well, I do, but I have other things I like to do in my life now. So
you like to go out to restaurants.
Well,
you like to go see Jerry Seinfeld. How was the show?
Oh, it was fun. You know what? It was exactly what, as they say, the doctor ordered.
Is he similar to Meat Sauce in Common that he keeps recycling the same material over and over?
Totally new material.
How often you've seen him? Are you sure? I saw him
the last time he was here. I think a couple of years ago, I read one of his books, and he talked about it. I think the book was called "Is This Something?" or whatever. He talked about the process of, maybe similar to what you do, the process of writing comedy. Yes. Of writing comedy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I should
write a book. Well, I did.
I admire. He went. I don't know. Maybe an hour and a half. I think, which is a long time for a comedian, but I admire someone who can kind of just roll. And I just have any notes up there, like I did. One thing to another and not miss a beat. I know he's been doing it a long time at a high level, but very funny, relatable stuff, which is Seinfeld's calling card, whether it be about staying hydrated, talked a lot about phones. Go ahead, take your phone out. Take a picture of me. What are you going to do with it? Show it to your friends.
Well, that's funny you should say that, because that's a good bit, because I talk about it all the time. Deuce and I will be watching, and like you're watching the PGA.
I know what you're going to say.
And there'll be people in the gallery, and they're holding their phone up and getting a video of Ludwig Oberg.
Right.
And they can do that. That's fine. But are they really ever going to look at that? Or are they going to go, I'll prove it to you. I was there. Look at this video I got. It doesn't make any sense, but people do like to do it.
Especially the golf thing. You're right. Right from the 200 yards away.
It says, the player in question is Yaxel Lendenborg with Michigan, who says Kentucky offered him $9 million.
Wow. What, $9 million?
$9 million. Now,
that's a lot.
That $9 million ain't coming out of the 20.5.
No, that's boosting stuff.
That's coming out of name, image, likeness, or whatever, that whole collective.
That's astonishing. He'll never make that kind of money professionally. I mean, that's just... you wonder where it's going to ever end. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't take. I don't think it takes anything away from the enjoyment of sitting down and watching. In this case, the Sweet 16 this weekend. I don't think about it when I'm watching the games. I mean, I'm just trying to enjoy some, relief from the real world right now, and that's what I watch the basketball games for.
Gophers lost to Bemidji State this year, who spent 0-0. I don't think it's the money. That's one game, hockey. Well, anything can happen.
No, of course.
I mean, come on. I mean, you're not going to tell me, though, if you went out and paid the top 5 ranked junior player, however they get these kids coming out of high school or whatever, if you offer the very best players in college hockey $1 million a piece, $1.5 million, they wouldn't come flocking to Minnesota. And you might not win the Natty, and you might still lose to Bemidji State occasionally, but you're going to
win more times than
not. The more money you spend, the better you look. Unless you're Meat Sauce. The more money you spend on clothes, the better you look. That's the Dark Stars.
Late Dark Star, yes.
And he said that, except if you're Meat Sauce. So,
you can't make that look.
Speaking of Michigan, honestly, their size,
they're good.
Their strength, their talent. I'm not going to get nominated for PST by saying they could compete with an NBA team. I'm not saying that, but they just seem like they are
Unless it's the Wizards.
They are just like a notch above most of the other college teams. I'm not saying they can't be beat. They've lost a couple of games this year.
Right.
I think for me, Tenneby and I were talking about this earlier. I'd love to see Michigan against Michigan State. I would just like the two in-state schools to face off against each other. Izzo's teams are so much fun to watch. He finds a way, regardless if he's a 1 seed, 2 seed, 7 seed, regardless of where he's seated, his teams always seem to go Sweet 16, Grade 8, even Final Four over and over again.
Yeah, the respect that Tom Izzo deservedly gets is, and a lot of it is, you see him. This isn't, in this day and age when, oh my gosh, I'm afraid I have to coddle my players. And I'm not suggesting they go Bob Knight on the bit, but Izzo gets in the faces of, doesn't matter what player it is. And you can see it on the sidelines. If that kid blew an assignment, defensive assignment, or whatever it might be, and they call a timeout, his face gets all red. He's like 3 inches away from him, and he's yelling at him. And I think the player respects that. And he's not the only coach who does it, but Izzo's done it at for such a long time that the players understand where it's coming from. And it's tough love and it's tough coaching. But I love seeing Tom Izzo on the sideline still. To me, it's as much part of March Madness as anything else. Seeing a coach like that, he was very close. I mean, even the Flip Saunders here, and I mean, he's got a lot of respect for the game and for his opponents and for guys he's coached against. And
Izzo has led the Spartans to 8 Final Fours in the NCAA tournament, which includes the NCAA National Championship in 2000 and a runner-up finish in 2009. His teams have won 11 Big Ten regular season titles and 6 Big Ten tournament titles in his 30 years at Michigan State. Izzo has the most wins in school history and has appeared in 27 consecutive NCAA tournaments. That's the longest streak of tournament appearances ever by a coach at one school. He has never had a losing season as a head coach. In addition, MSU set the Big Ten record for the longest home court winning streak between 98 and 2002. Several of these accomplishments led former ESPN analyst Andy Katz to deem Michigan State the top college basketball program for the decade of 98 to 2007. Current KFAN analyst Dan Cole, the common man, forget Andy Katz, me. Right. I deem Michigan State to be the top college basketball program for the decade of 98 to 2007. So I agree with Andy Katz. Great basketball minds.
And we know he has not always been blessed with the best rosters. I mean, he does get the most out of those players. I mean, we know he's had some phenomenal players who have gone on to be, phenomenal pros. I mean, when I first saw Michigan State in person, Judd Heathcote was the coach, and they had a guy named Magic Johnson playing basketball for him. And I saw Magic play his first Big Ten game against the Golden Gophers. And another guy whose nickname was Bells, that was Michael Thompson.
Bells,
Michael Thompson, James Jackson, and I remember going to East Lansing and watching that game, and Heathcote was the coach at that time.
You would love those days, don't you?
Oh, man, they were special.
Are you living in the past, Mark?
No, but I appreciate the past. Okay. I'm not living in it, but I do enjoy why I watched somebody put a clip on of the 1990 the Gopher team that went to the Sweet 16, Kevin Lynch team.
I remember that.
With your guy, with Shikajansky and those guys. They were really a good team. They came within an eyelash of going to the Final Four too. But anyway, Heathcote was the coach, and then Izzo's taken over for a long time.
So if you'll remember that text message that came in that said Gophers hockey lost to Bemidji State this year. It's been 0-0. I don't think it's the money. Then shortly after that, a text message came in that says, the Bemidji State game was a tie in an exhibition over New Year's, and the Gophers were without 2 of their best players as their head coach and their head coach at the World Juniors. Isn't that funny when you dig into the details a little bit? You find out it isn't quite the same.
Not quite.
Now, which one do you believe? The 1-0 victory for Bemidji State, or do you believe the next one that came in says it was a tie in an exhibition over New Year's?
It's a moot point. I don't know
if it's a moot point. I think it's very controversial.
All right, I'll make it controversial.
It really is. Yeah. Your Minnesota Twins begin season number 61, 71, 81, 91, 01, 11, 1060. Is this 65 then? Is this their 65th season in Minnesota?
That sounds about right. I was like 8 or 9, 8 years old when they started.
Steam columnist Jim Suhan today said, you know what? You should still go out to that ballpark to watch the young guys develop. And you can make that argument. I mean, if you love ball and love watching it, Tanner B brought up a good point too. Watch them develop down in the minors where they get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, that's true. You can see that too.
You can... I think you can enjoy watching players develop, but still not be that interested in going to the ballpark all the time. I can watch them on TV develop. I mean, to me, if you're really into baseball and you're a baseball fan, you want to go down there and watch, 2 or 3 players develop, more power to you. I don't know if I want to spend $20 or $30 on a ticket, $20 or $30 on parking, $30 or $40 on concessions and everything else, and spend 3 hours to watch Luke Keeschel bat 4 times in a game. That's not worth the price of admission.
I don't know if I want to spend 2.5 hours inside on a nice day or night watching them on TV. To counter that argument, I know what you're saying. There's a financial aspect to it, but at least you get the benefit of going to an outdoor baseball game. I look at it that way. I'd rather be at the ballpark than sitting in my...
You could do that up at Buckman and watch the Buckman Billy Goats play town ball.
I understand that. I talked about that. No, I mean, there's some great ballparks around town, and you could also go, as I mentioned, with the Saints, and they're worth the price of admission, and most of their...
I just feel like if you do that, then you are... The more people say, yeah, I'm just going to go watch players develop, the more the Twins ownership says, doesn't matter what they can say everything they want. Tom Pollad's done the old...
That ship has sailed.
I don't believe any of it. And so I think, if you decide, you know what, that's right, I'm going to go watch. I'm not saying don't go to a ball game occasionally, but to invest a lot of money and buy season tickets and just give them, to me, it's a waste of your time and your money.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to change. I mean, it's just... I don't think. No, I mean, I'm looking at their roster and even the guys that are there. I mean, it's like we keep hearing about Royce Lewis. If Royce Lewis had the potential right now this year to be a real star in the American League, you'd go, listen, we loved watching him in the postseason a couple of years ago, and he had that electric sort of atmosphere about him, and now he's like hitting $150 or something at training. And I know spring training, but maybe he'll turn it on when the season starts. Thursday, right? That's in the season. I mean, I've never been less enthusiastic about the start of a Twins season. I literally didn't know until I think I looked up. Oh, wait, the Twins are playing Thursday in Baltimore?
Playing at Camden Yards.
Wow.
It's a big one.
And Joe Ryan's starting, I assume, right?
Joe Ryan's a starting pitcher.
No.
Yep. Joe Ryan's
I hope he can go 8.
I'm
kidding. I don't know what to say. I mean, I hope they surprise us a little bit and can keep their head above water, at least, play close to 500 baseball the first month, because it's going to be tough. It'll be a tough sell.
Yeah, I think...
we know that with Wild and Wolves in the postseason, the draft, blah, 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 the weather. I've talked about it 100 times.
You love this Wolves club, too, don't you?
I certainly liked the fourth quarter of the game against the Celtics the other night. That was as fine a defensive performance. I know you're...
Did they play defense? No.
Oh, my God, did they ever. They shut down the Celtics in the whole fourth quarter. I mean, they got a different look. When Bones Highland is playing it, off the charts right now, and
he brings a joy to the club that nobody else ever has.
He's
what Krasinski wrote. Yeah. We needed somebody that plays
up tempo and
happy and just.
Well, I mean, when he's out there, finally, Chris Finch said, "I've seen enough of Julius Randle." Obviously, he was critical of him the other night, getting only 3 rebounds. He was not on the floor in crunch time. They have a much more athletic lineup out there with Naz Reid and DeSumo and Bones Highland and even Jalen Clark. And Dante plays, even if he's not knocking down threes, he plays aggressive defense. And they were shutting down the Celtics. They completely shut them down in the fourth quarter. Again, can they carry that on? They got a crucial, if you want to call it that, a crucial game against Houston here tomorrow night, especially when they're vying for different, however you want to look at it. They're going to finish 4th, 5th, or 6th probably. But yeah, it was refreshing to watch because it was a defense first approach, and then Bones just did his thing and was, having the time of his life. So first time they'd won in Boston forever, basically. So.
Rosen, you could always take a TV out in the backyard or patio and watch the game. Yes. Well, see, he's got you there if you want to be outside.
I could. I guess I could watch it from my loge, as they say, the balcony, and I could look at my TV.
Well, yeah, if you're in a luxury high-rise, it's harder to do that.
I can't exactly do that.
Yeah.
Although I do see the TV from when I'm barbecuing. Yeah. That'll be out sooner than later, I hope.
From where you are up on whatever floor you are, 25th, 30th, whatever it is, can you see the game from there?
No. I used to. In my old apartment, I lived on Nicollet Avenue. I was funny because I could see part of the ballpark. Not only could I see it, but I could hear it. And then the TV is on a delay. So in other words, I'd see the fireworks go off. And this is when the Twins were playing pretty well. Fireworks go off, and then the game hadn't ended yet for another 10, 12 seconds. That was pretty funny.
How good is that?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's always good to hear from you. We'll see you again tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir.
Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Tenemy, thanks for having me.
Hey, great job.
You as well. Rock Talk tomorrow, 1:15. Rosie at 2. Stick around. Big Ticket JG there and next year on The Fan.
Adios. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night. Good morning. Good afternoon. And good night, Minnesota.
Good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.